Hi dear, could you boil the kettle? When you're online, it's very easy to get accused of milking content for clicks and clickbait and spreading misinformation and basically just being a bit of a tit. And I want to try and avoid being any of those things completely. And I think that starts with admitting when you get something wrong or potentially missed out something important in your videos. Integrity matters to me a lot more than views. And so if I do get something wrong, I'll always put my hand up and say, that's my bad. And if it's something that can't just be corrected by a wee comment added to my video, then I'd rather just do the right thing and pull the video completely. But of all the car communities out there, I would make a case to argue that Tesla's is possibly one of the most kind of cliquey and geeky ones there is. And there's a lot of people out there that know a lot about Teslas that even I don't know. And just because I've got a YouTube channel, I'm talking about my ownership experience of my Tesla, it doesn't mean I know everything. And sometimes I get things wrong. But I've always said I'm always happy for people to comment and let me know if there's things about my car that I don't know. Bottom line is, I feel like there's a better way to present the points I was trying to make in my first deleted video about defrosting my Tesla, because ultimately some of the issues I've got are user error more than in fact ways to actually get your car defrosted successfully. So I thought I should really just do this video again and address some of the points that I didn't say in the first video, because they really matter. And just to be clear, the frustrations I've had getting into my Tesla when it's been frozen solid thus far have been entirely genuine. And so all that is still exactly as I said it was. The difference is, I think there's some more mitigating ways around some of those frustrations, which I didn't really cover in my first video. And so that's what I want to address and be a bit more objective and less emotive about it. So let's try this again. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. There's so many cool things about my Tesla, and the good stuff is really great. And I could wax lyrical about it, and I intend to on this channel. But there's also quite a lot of things that are more the darker side of Tesla life. Some of which I would class as niggles, and others at the other end of the spectrum, which are more like things that are so mind-bendingly annoying that I could literally beat the living crap out of my car. I would say the defrosting challenges I've had are probably somewhere in the middle, but that is more based on the fact that I did things the way I did them before. And so as I say, there might be some improvements to that going forward based on what I know now, and therefore it moves more towards the niggle category. So let's get the obvious thing out of the way first. You can precondition your Tesla to the right temperature before you get in it via the Tesla mobile app, and it's bloody amazing. And obviously, given where I live, the cooling option there is probably going to be completely null and void. So let's just park that and talk about this from the perspective of essentially thawing out the car and heating it up before you get in it. The things you can heat up to defrost your car include the windshield, the windows on the side, and the door mirrors. Not the door handles, but we'll come back to that. Tesla recommends you should precondition your car 30 to 45 minutes before you set off on your journey. And so if you're an organized person and you have kids that do what they're told, that could be potentially a very useful feature. And so by the time you get into your car on a cold day, it's going to be absolutely lovely and roasty toasty. But with me personally, and this is where one of my emotive frustrations came from, is I'm a fairly disorganized person and my kids are an absolute nightmare. So I don't often remember to do things like preconditioning the car in good time. And so I'm in a rush, I get to the car, I'm like, oh, you know, I've either left it too late to precondition it or I haven't done it at all. And that's when I'm like, might need to get the old kettle on the go. Not fully boiled before somebody says, because that is not going to be good on windows. But this car has frameless windows, and I've never had a car with frameless windows before. And I've always been a bit like, oh, I'm really worried about what that's going to be like when they're frozen. You simply want to make sure that the car has defrosted a little bit in some way before you try and drop the windows, because you could break the windows or damage the mechanisms within them. And so that is something I'm always worried about. But so far, that hasn't happened. But what I do really love is that your car can preempt that it's going to be super cold and drop the windows slightly, so it helps make it easier for you to get in. So I haven't had any actual problems getting in. There's been a couple of times where they've still been too frozen that I have needed to get a kettle when I've been in a bit of a rush. But that is definitely not a big problem, and so far it's definitely been less of an issue than I thought. And compared to other internal combustion cars with frameless windows, particularly ones pre the days where you could precondition those as well, this is probably a better solution. You can also get a lubricant that you can put around the seal of the windows. I haven't done that yet, but that is another potential way that will help make it easier for the windows to drop and not find the mechanism struggling if it's super frozen and stiff. So that's something to think about. Now, this is really important, but you can also schedule the defrost of your car, which if you're somebody who commutes to work Monday to Friday at a certain time you're setting off. That's a really blooming marvelous feature to have. This is a key piece of information that I missed from my first video, and the main reason I scrapped the video, because I felt like I was doing Tesla a disservice and also my subscribers by telling them about this problem I had, which was actually not really that big a problem in the end, because if you do actually schedule your defrost, then yeah, all these times I'm going, oh, I forgot to defrost the car, need to go get a kettle, whatever, isn't really going to be that much of a factor in this case. So I really felt it was important to address this. I'm sorry that I got that one wrong, and I don't know how the heck I missed that, but that is absolutely great that you can do that. The only thing to say though is that that scheduling feature might not entirely work for me anyway, because the days that I'm actually in the car to do drop-offs for school and go to the office are actually quite random sometimes, and so it's not entirely consistent, and therefore there is a risk that if you have it on a schedule, you might end up defrosting the car on days or at times that you don't really need it, and therefore wasting some of your battery. But that's a minor point. But the whole kettle thing is in fact something I have had to use for something else on a few occasions, and this is the main focus of the video that I did make before and that I stand by. And I want to add some extra information here, but the main problem I have with the defrosting of this car is the bloody door handles. Yes, we all know that Tesla loves to do things differently, and they get a real semi about minimalism, and in some cases it really works, like the interior door handle with this little button. Love it. But the exterior door handles, definitely for me a case of style over substance. From fumbling around in the dark, you know, like this, trying to find the door handle because there's no light on it, and the fact that every time I've got a new passenger in the car, I basically had to give them a training session on how to actually get into it. Those are annoying things, but that is not the biggest problem. The main issue is that when it's properly below zero temperatures, the door handles, when you defrost the car, don't defrost the same, and they are still potentially frozen solid. And trying to get your thumb in to actually push it in and then pull the handle out is an absolute nightmare. What I have learned though, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to update this video, is that you can kind of fudge the other end of the handle, the one nearest the front of the car, and basically try and tap it to break the ice, and essentially then it should move both ways. Annoyingly, we're going through yet another warm spell again, which is another reason why scheduling defrosting might not actually be that efficient for me, because the weather's just all over the place. But basically, the other end of it, I haven't been able to test that, but I've read in the forums from a lot of people that this is actually a useful solution. So it's important to say this, but there are times I'm thinking, no way, this is just going to be far too frozen that that's going to budge at all. And that's why then I've gone and got a bloody kettle. The bottom line is, it's not just me getting in the car a lot of time, it's my kids as well. So do I have to potentially do this little workaround on 3 handles of the car? I don't want to be doing that when I'm in a rush. That is just a lot of nonsense. And so that is why I just think these door handles, for all they look really cool and sleek, when it comes down to physically just getting in the car, they're a bit of a problem. Tesla say that in severe weather conditions, you can use a workaround. And this is one of these things I love about Tesla, is it's like they go, maybe we've gone a wee bit far with the minimalism here, and there's a problem to address. And somebody's gone, I've got an idea, guys. Let's have a wee software update, and let's let the driver be able to open the door and override the mechanism through the handle by pressing a button on the app. Bingo. So essentially, if your handle is totally frozen stuck, you can use the app to actually open the driver's door. But that doesn't solve the problem with my kids' doors, does it? It's only the driver's door. But either way, it's great that they've thought of a potential solution for this. But do I want to be taking my gloves off when it's freezing and faffing about with the app? No, I just want to use the handle with a bit more ease. But being objective about this is the sort of thing that unless I lived in Siberia for 9 months of the year, I'm not going to have to really worry about this problem. And so as soon as the warmer weather comes around again, I'm going to forget about this sort of frustration, and it's just not going to be something that's going to bother me consistently enough that I'm going to be like, oh, I hate my Tesla. Tesla also recommends that you can put a WD-40 around your door handles. And if you're one of these Tesla geeks that loves to do loads of mods to your car and just loves to do all the little special Tesla things, you're probably going to be like, yeah, cool, get me some WD-40, I'll do it. It's weird though, because I'm, you know, a guy with a car YouTube channel, but when it comes to cars, I don't get excited about maintenance, and I'm a bit like I'm with food, you know, I don't care about how my food's made or having to work for it. I just want to put it in my mouth and eat it, and preferably have as little amount of dishes to do afterwards as possible. You know, I just want to get in my Tesla and drive it. I don't want to have to do all these silly little workarounds. I just don't. But my blood pressure does go up a notch over this final next point I'm going to make about why they're really doing my head in. And it is that if you've managed to physically break the ice and get the door handle open, great, you get inside the car and then you drive off and it's beeping at you saying your door's open. You're like, no, it's not. Oh, it's flapping about. So it is. Why is that? It's because the door handle is stuck open, and I've had this quite a few times. So essentially you've got to stop the car. You can't even just do it from in the car. You've got to get out, push it back in again and close the door and the mechanism engages. What is that all about? So this is really bloody annoying. I guess maybe the WD-40 thing might help with this one as well, but that is not something you're going to be able to fix with a software update. You're going to need to put some sort of heating element into the design of the door or redesign the whole door. But that is a real pain in the arse and just stupid little problem to have. I've had it with my kids' doors as well. And again, you're going to eventually remember to just check this before you get in certain days. But these are all just workarounds and things to remember that I just don't want to have to think about. So it is really a mixed bag, which is why I've rebranded this video as ups and downs. There are some really good things about the defrosting process, but there's also things about it that are kind of do my head in. I really thought long and hard about what I really wanted the value of this video to be, and I want to get across my frustrations, which are valid, but at the same time, give kind of credit to Tesla where it's due, but also this is a really good example, I think, to just share about what Tesla life is really like. And if you're thinking about buying a Tesla, these are the sorts of situations that you're going to find that potentially initially really frustrate you. But when you do a bit more research and invest a bit more time in understanding the intricacies of them and what the mitigations and the solutions potentially to those problems are, in some cases you eventually see the method in the madness and you go, that's actually genius, but also potentially still very frustrating. I just feel though overall that I've had to make a bigger event of getting into my car and driving off when it's been frozen more than I did in previous internal combustion engine cars, like my old Volvo, for example. And I think that's really the key point for me is, do I think overall that the way Tesla does all this, and this car in general when it comes to defrosting and driving off, is the way they do it a net positive versus previous experiences I've had? Probably not. Anyway, guys, I feel like I've maybe made a bit more of a drama out of this topic than I was intending to, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who are probably going, I just haven't had any of these problems. So hey, that's great. I'm happy for you. I'm being completely honest about the experiences I've had today, but also the learnings I've got from it. But I would love to know your thoughts in the comments about other points you've had and experiences and maybe ideas you've got about things that I could do better. Love to hear all that stuff. Thanks very much. But if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe as well, because there's loads more coming up about this car and others. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.